And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the next of our Center Grove Trojan Beat podcast. I'm Chris Wood, joined by my colleague Rob Thompson. And tonight we're joined by George Hill live tonight from Texas Roadhouse here in Greenwood in the Center Grove area on State Road 135. And great opportunity here to kind of catch up with George and find out some of the things that he does that I think really impact the Center Grove community. And I think it's fair to say more than just the Center Grove community, the greater Greenwood area as a whole. So with that in mind here, first, Rob, welcome. Been a while.
Yeah, well, let's see. You took me off probation so we could get back together. I get put on probation every now and then, so he grounds me. But no, we're back here, and and I think we talk about what this podcast means and what we're want to try to do and spread. And with George, he is a big piece in our community, especially our young athletes and students. And so excited to learn more about you. Okay. And just kind of how we got here and then where we're going with you.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
So, George, I think we'll start with this. You're managing partner here at the Texas Roadhouse here on 135. Kind of how did that come about, and what's your origin here with Texas Roadhouse, and kind of some of your background and your career to the point you are in now?
Yeah, I started, back in high school. Started at a five-star kind of rib place, fine dining, and called Montgomery Inn in Cincinnati, Ohio, and bus tables there from 16 through high school. Came back during summers in college and bussed there. Learned a lot about how you treat guests, how you take care of people. Tom Gregory, the Gregory family is just renowned for doing that. If you've ever been, I've always loved the restaurant industry. I come from a background. My father's a minister, and my mom, of course, being a PK wife, is very involved community-wise. And so, restaurant was also something that you can kind of feel like when you work for a restaurant, if it's a good company and it's a good, got a good culture in it, then, it's people. It's no different than my dad and his church. It's people. Mm-hmm. That's how you gain a congregation. So, went to college at Indiana University. I was going to be a criminal justice. Was thinking law enforcement. Realized that my personality is not designed for that. Both my parents were music majors at Indiana University. My dad a percussion major, my mom a vocal major. That's how they met. So decided to get into school of music. It was a difficult road. We were number 3 in the country at the time, but audition got in. And then I started working at a restaurant. I was working at a restaurant in Cincinnati during a summer when I wanted to serve because I was 19 and you could serve then and make more money than you do busing. And I went to Tom Gregory at Montgomery Inn, and he goes, my servers are making like St. Elmo's. It's basically like a St. Elmo's, they're lifers. So we don't do part-time servers. So Red Lobster was like, we'll take you. So did there. And then my junior year, I wanted to transfer to the one in Bloomington. That's and procrastinated a little bit. I got a little bit of procrastination in me, and waited till the last second when school was out, and then found out they were full. And so I was like, I can just transfer. You don't have to train me. And they were like, sorry, we're full. We don't need anybody. So then I was kind of like, I was in trouble because I needed to pay rent and pay everything else. And parents already told them, I'm like, I'll be fine. Luckily, this small startup company just opened up off of 37 and 3rd Street called Texas Roadhouse. And that was 1998. That was the 31st store. And if it gives you a kind of a grasp, we're now 800. Wow. So 31st store, never heard about it. But I got it from my barber. She was like, did you get the job at Red Lobster? I go, nope. She goes, well, there's a place that they're hiring right now. And she's like, you should go check them out. She was cutting hair of a guy that was a lead server there, and he was telling her. So I went out, got the job, and couldn't stand country music at the time. I'm a music major, love every other type of music, but country, man, that was just not my thing at 22 years of age. But of course, I've grown to appreciate it quite a bit. Got a serving job there. Within about a year, they were asking me if I could help out on the floor and talk with guests because they like the way I talk with people and handle certain situations. Then my manager, my managing partner at the time, who is the owner of Tried and True Ale House, John Gladish, kind of had a chat with me and said, have you ever thought about doing this as a career? And I said, no, because you guys work like 70, 80 hours a week. You don't make that much from what I learned in the industry. And he said, this company's a little different. And so we had a conversation and sat down, and I kind of sat there and I just kind of started drinking the Kool-Aid, and all of a sudden my career started. I went to Christmas Eve dinner in 99 and sat down with my parents and said, I've already told my teachers I'm dropping out of music school and I'm going to pursue a career in the restaurant industry. You would have thought my mom was going to have a heart attack right there.
Yeah. Actually, let's pause there. How'd that conversation go?
Well, this is Christmas Eve, so Dad was in between services, and I told him that they made me an offer, which was salary plus benefits. My mom again going, I've never heard of this company. Is that you sure this is going to be an okay company? And I go, I don't know, but I believe in what we were doing in Bloomington. I believed in my managing partner, and I saw that sales were, was getting busier and busier. And so my mom goes, well, are you going to continue your degree? And I go, no. She goes, you're not going to get your degree. And I go, no, I'm going to go full throttle in a Texas Roadhouse. And my dad goes, do you get benefits? And I go, yes. He goes, sounds like you got a job. So He goes, do you go to college to get a job? He's like, you just did it a different route. So he was okay. He also had to get to midnight service. So he was like, he was okay. But, again, now if you go and ask her, she'll say it's the best move I ever made. So, yeah.
So you grew up in Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah,
okay.
Montgomery, Sycamore Aviator. We were right next to I was in the backyard of a school called Moeller High School.
Oh, yeah.
All the great athletes. We were always in 7th and 8th grade. We always dominated the county as far as champs in football, basketball, baseball. And then all the top guys would go to Moeller. The girls would go to St. Ursula. So then in high school, sports were okay, but we really had all the top athletes. When I was in middle school, Ken Griffey Jr. was at Moeller. That's where he went to high school. So, I remember going to a high school game and you get to see Griffey Jr. Yeah, sit down there and kind of have a game in high school. And it was, it was a great school. Just kind of like it felt like a Center Grove, honestly.
Yeah.
So, you guys need more barbecue sauce than that? Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Wood's going to have to take a break now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Smash these ribs.
Well, got some legendary ribs for you guys to try. So
I think the first thing to do is we need to thank you for providing
no problem
for us tonight. And we as people watch this broadcast, they're going to see Wood nibbling on this food for sure. And Rob will be having a few things as well, I'm sure. So thanks for taking care of it.
I'm holding out, man.
No problem. You got to eat. I'm always like, you can't come here and smell everything and not have anything to taste, as you go through here. But no, it really, the Sycamore was amazing. About 2,200 kids at the time. It's a big graduating class, and Center Grove's much bigger now. Yeah. But that's what kind of drew my wife and I to Center Grove. Was I kind of felt like that place that I went to, from school.
Yeah, so you were in Bloomington.
Yes.
Right? And that's kind of that's kind of the journey that got you here, right?
Yeah.
And so Bloomington, you made the decision, I'm going at this.
Yep, I was.
And then how did
it get to here?
Yeah.
I was asked to be I was asked to get into front of house managing. I love front of house. I love talking to people, guests. So I wanted to be a service manager. My managing partner, John, at the time, came to me and says, that's great. I need a kitchen manager. I said, I've never cooked in my entire day in my life. And I go, you want me to go run this kitchen? He goes, I'll make something out of you. So he saw something in me, became the kitchen manager in Bloomington. And then about a year and a half, I was he got promoted to market partner, where he's multiple now, overseeing multiple stores. I think he had 7 at the time. And they were the company was wanting to branch out on what's called a product coach. This is individuals that oversee kitchens, multi-kitchens, by coming in and doing little audits on there, coaching the quality of the food, because everything's made from scratch at Roadhouse, everything. Our dressings are made from scratch. Our salads are chopped fresh every single day. We get, huge produce trucks that come in with iceberg heads of lettuce and romaine. We shred cabbage, shred carrots. We hand cut all our steaks. The bread's made fresh every single day. So I had to learn really the ins and outs of doing that as a product coach and go in and help other stores, get that quality. Because when you go to like a place like, I'll just use this. You go to McDonald's, you get a Big Mac. Big Mac at the McDonald's on Stones Crossing and the one over on 31, the sauce tastes the same.
Yeah.
You never have a question of whether that Big Mac is going to taste differently, whether or not it's sat up in the window a little bit longer. And you go, oh, that's been sitting out. Roadhouse, you come in. If our ranch dressing doesn't taste like Southport's ranch dressing, well, you're now having quality issues. If our mash pot is too thick, theirs is too runny. So product coaches, they go in and help really teach and mold the individuals inside the four walls to make sure to get it as consistent store to store, so that when you go to places, you go, man, no matter which Roadhouse I go to, it's mashed potatoes taste the same. Steaks are cut the same. Ribs taste the same. So I did that for 3.5 years. I got a couple awards for doing that on the road, and my market partner Gladys at the same time was like, hey, when are you going to take over a store? And I actually got offered a couple other stores, but I really liked being on the road, and I actually turned those down, because I didn't want to move, and I was just married to my wife Mindy, and so we were just, I was enjoying life. I was like, I don't think I want that pressure yet. And then in 2006, Mindy got pregnant. I can't say we got pregnant, but Mindy got pregnant. And that's when I went to him. I said, you know what? I think my days of traveling, because I would go to Kentucky, Illinois, Ohio, Tennessee.
It wears on you.
It does. I mean, you're traveling. You're gone for like a week.
Yep.
You're gone for a week. So I said, it's time for me to get off the road. And I'll be honest, at the time when I told him that, within a couple months, this store, the same guy that actually told my barber about Texas Roadhouse, saying if you got anybody, was actually running the store. It's a funny story. It's coincidental. And he was struggling here. This store was actually not supposed to be here. Our founder and CEO actually advised the franchisee, do not build a store here. He goes, it won't be successful because there's no major interstates. There's no hotels like Southport. You see Bloomington right off of 37. Columbus is right off of I-65 and that 46 exit. He's like, don't build it. There was nothing here back in 2004 that way, except for Center Grove and Greenwood High School. Yeah. And he said, it'll fail. Franchisee was his best friend and said, I'm going to do it. And it did. This store opened up at very low volume sales, like way below an opening should be. Openings were like 120,000 opening week. This was like 77,000. Wow. And what it did is it was drawing people that would normally go to Southport. We're now going, now I don't have to travel as far. Yeah. But that's all that they were capturing. Yeah. And so that was a struggle. The sales got down as low as 45,000 a week, which is for Roadhouse. Southport was averaging 85 at that time. So we were doing half of what they were doing there. And the managing partner finally said, this is just not for me. And he stepped down. He was getting pressure of building sales, building a community. And so John actually came to me. He goes, you want Greenwood? And I kind of looked at him. I said, hell no. I go, you're crazy. I go, I want a store that I know is going to open up and be $4 million at least. This store was barely not even hitting $3 million. And he goes, man, I'll just tell you. He goes, I don't know when I'm getting another store. He goes, well, what if you could come in here and make this store great? And I sat there. I go, well, that sounds like a challenge. And, of course, Boston was, she was pregnant and going to be born soon. And so I sat there and I took a leap of faith and said, it looks like we're moving to Center Grove. Because we had lived up at Beach Grove at the time. Okay. So I could be on the interstate and just get out on 446. So took over this store in May 2006. So really, actually, son of a gun. Years. Actually, today is the 19th year. Yeah, actually,
that's incredible.
I realized that. That is actually today. Yeah, May 6th, 2006.
So 19 years ago today.
19 years ago today.
And you're having dinner with us.
I'm having dinner with you guys, celebrating 19 years. Yeah.
Is your wife coming in later?
Yeah, no, she's nope. No. Yeah, 19 years. I'll be 27 years in June. I'll be 27 years with the company in June.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah. So it's been here, and it's been a journey. Being here has been an absolute journey to get to where we are. And again, in 2023, this store was recognized. It was just last year at our conference. The store was recognized as top 22 in the company. We were a managing partner. I was a managing partner finalist, and you go to conference and they recognize you as top 22 out of 700 and something for all the accolades, and they basically take all your numbers, finances, audits, shops, all those scores. And, when you get that call from the president of your company and going, have you ever stood on stage? And it's like, never stood on stage. Been nominated 5 times.
Yeah.
But I'd never gotten the actual call to sit there and actually go stand on stage. And this community really, my people and this community really got us there to be one of the best 22 stores in the company.
Yeah.
Again, we're joined by George Hero, managing partner here at Texas Roadhouse on 135 in Greenwood, and our thanks to our sponsor of our podcast tonight, Gandalf Bats. Check him out if you want to get that customized wood bat, however you want it, be it the torpedo bat or a traditional bat. He's got everything for you. George, as we kind of transition here a little bit more into your story, before we kind of talk about more the community perspective, my curiosity question is, are you comfortable sharing some of the things that you did to get this store where you felt like
absolutely.
It was capable of getting?
Yeah. I've never hide anything from anybody about the successes that come with Roadhouse. Roadhouse has always been, this is probably more, what this podcast will do will probably be more of an investment into advertising the store than what we do generally. We have no radio, no TV spots, no newspaper, magazine ads. You never see that Texas Roadhouse ad. If you watch the Kevin Conrad ad for any of our sports games, that restaurant thing that's on there is a generic thing to give to schools or to give to local communities if they need, like, hey, we just want a 15, 20-second snapshot. But our founder, Kent Taylor, passed away 3 years ago, or 3 years ago, I think it was. He never believed in spending money on national advertisement. He believed in your advertisement as your community. What are you doing in your community to get your people out? A branded national advertisement doesn't hit your community like you can impact your community by taking care of them, whether it's our bread or, when people think of Roadhouse, the first thing, you would think it's steakhouse, think about steak or ribs or whatnot. The first thing that comes out, if I walk in, I got my Roadhouse shirt on, anywhere I go, where's the rolls?
Yeah.
Just bring rolls. You bring rolls, or with the butter. You got some butter in the back of your car. It's like, no, I don't have the rolls. I'm sorry. I'll remember that next time. But they, it's so that's one of our biggest marketing tools is our bread. And still to this day, we do bread runs anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. I have what's called a local store marketer, an LSM, and she comes in and we'll make bread, and she'll go out and she'll hit our 3 to 5 mile radius of businesses, schools, churches, whatever she can, to go make a partnership and just drop off free bread. Do all those things to where they're like, we're giving you food. It's also like, hey, here's bread. It's like that Pavlov dog theory. If you put the bread in your mouth, you're like, well, now I need my steak. So how many sometimes people are going like, shoot, we didn't know where to go tonight. Now we're going to Roadhouse. And it's putting food in people's, mouths that is the best advertisement you possibly can do. And a TV ad doesn't do that. It makes you think about it, but it doesn't get you in through the 4 walls.
Hey, Wood, they're not cheering for you either.
No.
I want to unpack 2006.
Okay.
When you decided I'm going to take this place that's in the middle of Center Grove. My opinion, it's not the best location.
There wasn't, no.
Hard to get to. And obviously with everything built out now, it's there's a lot of traffic that comes through here.
Yeah.
And obviously this place is probably one of the reasons why there's a lot of traffic over here now. But unpack a little bit. 2006, you walk in, you got a mountain to climb.
Yeah. Food was the number one thing that I came in and I found out. Being a product coach, our food was very inconsistent. Our steak quality was very inconsistent. And I came in, I spent probably 6 months in that kitchen just driving quality, because that's what you're coming in here to get. But I would never forget what I love about Roadhouse is having market partners that are involved. My market partner now, Dave Palazzo, who comes up, lives down in Clarksville, comes in. They're involved in coming in the stores and working with you and seeing stuff. And my market partner came in one night, and John came in, and he goes, "Food's great, the service sucks." And I was like, "Man," it was food. He's like, "You need to get out in the front." He goes, "You're sending a great product now, but your service quality, your people, what are they doing? How are they taking care of the guests?" He's like, it's not great. So then I kind of focused on getting back out, and it's really trying to be that balanced leader of both having both front and back to get there. Because if the food's great, you can just get takeout and go home and eat with your family. You come in to sit down to get the service quality, to get taken care of, and so you have to have that balance. And so I started really focusing on our training programs. Who is our trainer? How are our people getting trained coming inside the 4 walls? How are our hosts, our servers, our bussers, bartenders? And one of the biggest things that I took upon that a lot of people in the company now did, we became a training center in 2010, but I took on to where we validate every single server where they got to serve me before they can serve anybody on the floor. You go through training week. Our training week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10-hour days. You have classroom for 4 hours. Then you go on the floor immediately for another 5. And you do that back to back to back to back, and you shadow another server. And then you got to take a couple tests. And then that Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to sit myself down in the booth. I'm going to sit a couple tables around you. You're going to serve me, and I'm going to watch how you serve somebody else. And I want to see how's your multitasking. I want to see how's your personality. How are you talking with people? How are you utilizing, because what I hire here is personality. I don't give a lick if you've never served before. If, I can teach a monkey to serve tables. I can't make them talk, recognize certain things. So there's a lot of people in here that have never, ever, ever served before. But they come in here, and when they sit in an interview and they wow us with their personality, I'm like, I can make you a great server. And so that's what I was really trying to find, is weed out the people that were just order takers. You go to, I'm not going to name other restaurants. You go to other restaurants, you get an order taker. I want a server that comes up, that talks with you, that takes the time. And that's also the secret of our sauce is our 3-table sections. You're never going to come in here and see a server have more than 3 tables, ever. That's a company. That's a company mandate. You walk in here, watch your server, see if they have more than 2 other tables. Some of them only have 2, depending on the size. Depending on the size of the tables, you have a large party. There's two tables right behind us. One's a 6 and one's a 10 top. That's 16 people. 3, 4 tops, you're only dealing with 12. So we only give that person those 2 tables.
Yeah.
But it's personality that makes the money. It's not how many people you're serving. If you can give great service, it's getting that extra side of ranch, getting a refill on your drink, making sure that you pre-bus. I can't stand it pre-busing. You see a bunch of tables, and I wish we were perfect, but I still even have people, you walk around and go, hey, they have that out to the edge for a reason. Get it off the table. Those are what people tip on. My grandfather always said, my drink was always halfway full, my water was always halfway full. That server, no matter what the food was, will get a great tip from me, because that means they're paying attention to my table.
Yeah.
Because the food can be all messed up. So that's not the server's problem.
Yeah.
So it really was finding personalities,
Yeah.
and someone who's in this community who does a great job. Rick Johnson over at Chick-fil-A. He and I talk. He and I have had meetings before, and we just bounce. How do you get the personality? We look for personality.
Yeah.
We can train anybody.
Yeah.
But you can't train people to talk to people.
Correct. So I got 2 things.
Sure.
One, if you ever need volunteers for trainers to serve, I mean, I think we're probably available.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
Summer's coming up.
Yep. Right.
So we're always.
Okay.
I mean, we can. You could be the middle table, and we can be on the other tables.
Yeah.
And then the second question: who do you think would be a better server, Coach Wood or myself? Putting you on the spot here.
Man, I tell you what. Sometimes when I'm looking at so far, the silent but deadly ones can be very personal. So
Look at
he's leading off here. I worry about Rob going behind my bar a little bit too much. Rob, stay out of the bar. Stay out of the bar.
I wouldn't last a week, so he'd be longevity.
His buttocks would get through the tight crowds that he's remind that with.
Yeah, he'd be employed way longer than I would.
I'd be holding that tray like this and sliding.
Yeah. So I mean those training was 2008. I'll tell you, like, the recession hit in 2008, and that was hard. Roadhouse did very well as a company brand in 2008. We were only down as a company, I think, 2 to 3% over the previous year, whereas the industry was down anywhere from 20 to 30% when that housing market crashed. Why we weren't down as much was because if you're a high-end person going to fine dining, you were coming to Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Other people that might not be going out, they're still saving their money to go have that experience at Roadhouse, So, we did well, got through it, but we were still there. There was 2009 where there was a point where I kind of went to some people back in the company. I said, I don't know if this is for me because we weren't growing sales here. And I went and I was trying. And I'll tell you, like I tell Eric Moore all the time, I tried to get involved with the football team back in 2009. And I know at the time he was looking at me as another restaurant concept that was just, trying to get the bravado of what Center Grove football and sports was, because I'm sure he had people coming in all the time going, Coach, what can we do? What can we do? And it was difficult. It's very difficult to get him. Thankfully, I think Aaron Holt put us together in 2014, and I know that every time I see Moore now, he's like, man, I should have gotten with you earlier, because it was like when I say like, hey, we can help you. There's a lot that we can do that can help. But it was struggling. In 2009, I actually thought about leaving the store and going back to doing what I was before because we weren't growing and other stores were. I was like, maybe this wasn't a hit. But then 2010 hit, and for some reason 2010 started seeing stuff just skyrocket. Started to see that growth. We got nominated as one of the top stores in 2010. We didn't make finals, but we were one of the top. 2011, we've been plussing sales ever since 2009, every year over year. So
what do you think changed? And you may not have it statistically or data driven, but what do you think in your heart? And you can brag about yourself too if you want, but what do you think? What changed?
It was really having those conversations with some other MPs in our company, and the reason we're called managing partners is because we have skin in the game in our stores. Every managing partner with Texas Roadhouse has to put skin in the game to sign on to run a store. The company views you as your own entrepreneur. So this is like your business. The company gives you basically like guidelines, the lines on the road where you got to stay between those. But if you need to cross a little bit to the left, go between the dotted line, or come back, you can. How I run my store here in Greenwood is different than how Ken Sullivan, great managing partner, runs Southport. I've known Ken for 20 years, and we were great friends. But he does things differently than I do here, and that's just a choice because that's his philosophy in running a restaurant. Yeah. But Roadhouse allows you to do that. A Roadhouse does not give you restrictions on donations, and so I really had to rely on getting in the community, going to schools. I really believe that elementary schools are our bread and butter. Reason being is because guess what comes in every year? New kindergartners. And sometimes those are young, brothers or sisters of older ones that have been in there. But 9 times out of 10, they're brand new families. So going in and getting in there and helping with achievement certificates or bookmark programs, feeding the teachers. As I just said, I was just telling you, like this morning, we gave out over 220 meals to teachers at Walnut Grove, and I think we had Northeast Elementary, Isom Elementary. I did some yesterday. I've got some tomorrow. Of just saying when they call and they go, hey, we're looking to feed our teachers or feed our kids. I'm like, what do you need? I'm like, what do you need? And I don't have to go to my boss, and he doesn't have to go to his boss. It's just kind of expected. What they view your measures is, were you up in sales last week? Are you up in profits? Are you doing the right things when you get audited, or you get anybody coming in there? Okay, great. Sounds like you're doing a great job. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I loved about Roadhouse, is really allowing you to be your own entrepreneur. Because I never would have dreamed about running a restaurant when I was high school or even early college. It just seemed like bad, And we don't work 60 hours a week. My managers, we work, we're in here 40, 45 hours a week. It's making sure you have good balance because you're asking them to work on weekends a lot. Yeah. And that's when all you guys are out at the bars and everything else. Yeah. And, I got to be up, I got guys like Krupa and, going out tonight. I was like, I got to open at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, so I'm in bed. We're out on Mondays, Mondays or Wednesday night, something like that. So, yeah. School's absolutely getting into the community. Coach Todd was part of the swim program. He was the first one to call me to ask me to help with doing a cater for the sectional dinner.
Awesome.
And when I sent stuff to all of them, and at the time I was giving out. At the time I still had to sell some of the product because my sales were. I had to give like a very low discount. I basically was saying, whatever the cost of the food is what I'll charge you, because I'm not trying to make money off of teachers and thing. But we did a dinner for them, and he's like, every year boys and girls sectional sign back up, And, we were starting to see the kind of like how the community was knowing that not only do we have a consistent product, but we will come out and we will be out there. We will be the first one. We kind of like, Roadhouse kind of looks at itself as we're the mom and pop, but we're a big box brand. But we're no different than a mom and pop restaurant concept that's in the community, that's known as the nice place to go to, that's local. We're a big brand, because I've got competitors up and down 135, but are they in the community as much as I am?
Yeah.
Are they giving away food left and right? Are they being involved in events, coming and doing whatever we can? They have a lot of restrictions, and it's not to their, to the partners that are running those stores. It's not their fault. They just know, talking to them, they go, I wish I could do that, but I have to answer to a cost. Well, you're only at this, you can only do this. And I don't have that. I do almost whatever I want to do to give back. And it's never frowned upon. We have our company, we just got back from Vegas for our company's awards this year. And we have community partnership awards, that pretty much you're recognized. There's 5 regions in our company. And you can send in your market partner will nominate you for what you do in the community. And some of these stores are giving, I go like, man, I think I give away a lot of food. There's people that are like feeding thousands of people on a week. There's universities that they get involved with and everything, and the company rewards them for doing this, recognizes them in front of thousands of people to sit there and go like, man, that's awesome. Like, they're inspiring other people.
It's a culture.
More. It's a culture. There's actually 7 awards are given away for Manager Partner of the Year, and the last award given away is the Culture Award.
Yeah.
It's actually an award that is looked at as, if you run your store, who's got the best culture in the company. So,
once again, joined by George Hill, managing partner here at Texas Roadhouse at 135 in Greenwood. And George, I kind of talking about the business and the success of the business. I was kind of doing some research as I had time today during my prep time, of course, at school. And one of the things I came across a couple of things, but I wanted to ask you about March 2020 when COVID hit.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, theoretically, the world kind of quote-unquote shut down.
Yeah.
What was the response? Because obviously, immediately you don't have customers coming into this place.
Correct. Yep.
I remember being thrilled personally and my family when the opportunity was there to come do the pickup for food.
Right, yeah.
Kind of talk us through what you did in that process and what your process was, and kind of brainstorming how do we handle this.
Yeah, that was when you think about the word pivot, we had to pivot. We didn't know what was coming, how long.
Scary.
Yeah. When they
get out of there, Wood.
I remember being at a Pacer game, I think like 2 days before, with my managers. And one of the luxuries I get to do is I can take my managers out on an evening that's a work day and just take them to a Pacer game and dinner, have some fun afterwards. And we were having one of those nights almost like 2 to 3 days before. And being in here and being like, we're shut down, no one's coming in. And all of a sudden we had to go like, okay, well, we can do takeout. I remember thinking of lining up spaces out front. They hadn't quite put restrictions on gloves or masks or anything else yet. And the first night, a Monday night, we'll do like $15,000. That first night, it was like $2,000. And I'm going, that's going to be, wow, okay, this is what we're in for. And every day it was like, okay, how are we going to go grasp? Our founder, Kent Taylor, who again passed away a couple years ago from, unfortunately died by suicide, and he had tinnitus, and a lot of that was caused by COVID. He basically told all of us, do what you need to do in your community. If you need to staff your store, staff your store. If people want to work, let them work. Find things to do. Get in there and detail the rafters. Have them get in there and do whatever they want. But if people want to work, let them work. And he actually gave up his salary that year to give back to every single employee that want to work. He came up with things of April Love. If you work 10 hours in April, average 10 hours a week in April, you got a $100 bonus. If you average 20 hours, you got 200, 300, 400, depending on the hours that you averaged in that month. and he was giving back so much that it trickled down to our executives who gave up their salary. That they're going, we don't need anything, give it back to the employees. He allowed us to spend money when everybody else was being told, cut labor, tell them, unfortunately, we don't have a job for you. Doesn't matter now, I would have like 60 people still in this restaurant during that time. And again, we had the mask, and eventually times we had the mask, but I was able to staff in here, and all these tables turned into to-go tables.
Yeah.
So we would cook in there, we would run food like we're running the tables, but they're all lined up with parking spots. And then we had all these parking spots lined up out there.
I remember all the spots all across there.
Yeah, and so like a table would designate to you do that, and then we would have someone out there coordinating what families coming in is going to spot 6. Well, then we had a board that would say their name, put in spot 6, so then the food would come out and go to spot 6. They'd see the food, bag it up, run it out to them in the Lex and do it. And they were just like, get creative as you possibly can. Well, again, you have at the time 600, I think we're at 500-600 stores by then, and you have all these managing partners thinking about what can we do across the company, and we were all just sharing ideas. We were all doing newsletters or sending out emails going, tried this, worked really well. And one partner in Milford, Brian Kutcher, came up with a whole spreadsheet that we put on a big TV screen that helped us with parking spots so we could do things to open up. And that just allowed us to do, I think we went from the first week doing like $15,000 the first week. Within 2-3 weeks, we were doing $70,000. And in 2019, I was averaging about $100,000 total in sales that week.
Wow.
So I was only down $30,000 doing it all to go. And then Kent came out, and Kent was very much like we're sitting on as a company. We're locked into beef every year. We go out, and our company has a great purchasing department, goes out and secures, billions of pounds of sirloin, strip, ribeye that we're basically locked into pay. Well, these providers, of course, these companies are going like, you're still locked in to pay for this. So Kent came out and go, we got to get rid of all this beef somehow. Like, we're sitting on like beef that is going to age and is going to go past aging, and it's going to become to where we'll still have to pay for it. So he came up with, I don't know if you guys did it, but we started cutting steaks and we were starting to cut steaks here, and people were able to come and get raw steaks in the morning.
I remember that, yeah.
All right, and so like he basically came up and Kent set a price, this much for a 6-ounce sirloin, this much for a 6-ounce filet pork chops. So you'd place your order the day before, and then we'd put you on a list, and I had meat cutters come in and overnight would cut, and we would pan them up, and we'd bring them to you, and you'd pick up between, I think, 9 and 12, and then we would do that. And then I had other meat cutters come in at around 8 or 9 and cut for the to-go at night that we were going to do at night. So I had this kind of like, there's always somebody in here, and that allowed us to get beef and chicken and pork back into the community. I remember people calling up and going, this is better than going to the grocery store because I don't have to get out of my car.
Yeah.
And we were literally bringing out Lex hands, and we'd stand 6 feet away and go, there's your bags, and they take the bags, and we had masks and all that stuff. And it was Kent allowing us to just go, do whatever you can do to take care of the community. His belief was, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. This is what we're looking to do. And when we got to open back up, we didn't know what. We opened back up in June at 50% capacity. And it was a Saturday. God bless it, it was a Saturday. Which I was like, why didn't they raise that standard on a Monday night or something like that? But they did it on a Saturday. And I remember my market partner came to visit because I was one of the first stores. It was weird how COVID in Marion County, Monroe County, Bartholomew County, the restrictions where you can't open yet. But for some reason, COVID didn't hit Johnson County. But we were like, thank God, Mark Myers, thank you very much. Following what the governor did and allowed us to open up. So my market partner was here because I was one of the first stores in the Midwest. We were kind of like, because of our background and everything. So he came up that day, and we didn't know if people were going to come out or not. And we opened up a 50% capacity. We still had to go going on. And we'd really gotten to go down good by this time, because this is like late May, and we'd been doing it since March. Yeah. And he showed up, and we were on a wait at 11 a.m.
Wow.
to close. People were so anxious to get out.
Yeah.
And because to go was also still the same volume that it was before, we were getting just throttled. We were busier than we've ever been before, and we had so many restrictions on what we could do and touch points. We had people wiping down stuff. We had to pre-portion everything because you didn't want to have as many hands on, so things were lidded. Mark comes in because you guys aren't prepared, and I love Dave to death. And I go, this is like unknown. What do you mean prepared? I'm like, there's no blueprint for this.
Yeah.
I'm like, we didn't know if people were going to be like, oh, it's going to be a slow roll to open. But this community, the minute they got to go out to eat, bam, everybody was out to eat. And we had to do restrictions on, you have to wait outside, and you have to, we can't, you got to wait 6. I mean, it was one of those things. People come in, I don't want to wear a mask. Well, you're supposed to wear a mask. You can't make me wear a mask. And I go like, the last thing I said is like, I remember telling my host and my server and going like, you guys don't make enough money to sit there and get in an argument with somebody about not wearing a mask. I go like, if they don't want to wear a mask, I was just kind of like, I'm not going to get in this argument over this thing. And because it's not a 16-year-old's job to stand up there and yell at, and have a male or female that's 50 years old telling you I'm not going to do this. So I mean, it was a difficult time, but we almost ended that year plus in sales versus 2019 because what happened next was the most incredible support we've ever seen from this community. We were 5.5 in 2019. We did 5.4 in 2020. And in 2021, we went to 7.1 million. We jumped $1.7 million in 1 year. And it was incredible to see. Every day I was like going, I remember telling my boss in the beginning of 2020, hey, we're going to hit 6 million this year. And he looked at me and goes, you're crazy. The average store was only increasing about 200,000 to 300,000 a year. And that's a good store. To increase that much in a year over year is like, that's really good. And I told him, I'm like, I'm going to do $500,000 this year. I felt the energy from the community in 2019. Like, we're going to roll. And he was like, man, I don't know. And he literally, and then we turn around in 2020, we do 1.7. And then in 2022, we increase another $500,000. And in 2023, we jumped another $1 million in 2023. And last year we did $750,000 increase. It's incredible. It's nuts.
To follow up on that, I'm curious to see what percent of your daily or weekly or monthly sales were in restaurant versus to go pre-COVID to what is it approximately today? Because I'm guessing your in restaurant probably hasn't changed that much, if I had to guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but what's the to go? How much has that changed? I mean, what's the battle you have with that, et cetera?
So, what COVID did was, we were already very strong as a takeout store because my market partner who opened the store believed in to go, and our company did not believe in to go.
Okay.
Kent was like, you can have to go, but the bartenders will order it for you. We'll make some up, we'll put it in the bag. Where John was very much like, I want to go rooms. John very much believed in that's a part of the business that is out there. And that's why this store opened up with a to-go room, whereas back in 2004, some stores didn't even have to-go rooms. Kent didn't believe that the quality of food that you got sitting down in the dining room was the same as when you got home. John's philosophy was very much, but if you take our food quality and go home and compare it to everybody else's to-go food quality that goes home, it's still better. It's still better. Is it like it's getting it hot right from the grill to right here? No, it's not. But we believed, how could we give a great service? So we were actually one of the top stores in the company at the time in to go. But we were probably doing 11-12% of our sales was to go. When COVID hit and when we first opened 50/50, it was almost like a 50% to go, 50% dining room. And that gradually, as the dining room got to 75%, our to go came down a little bit. Well, then we've all started to realize that our company came up with things in to go that would help us control how many orders we're getting in. Online ordering shot through the roof as opposed to calling in.
Yep.
Well, we can control how many online orders come in at a problem. You might sometimes jump on there, I want it for $5.45. Oh, it's booked.
Yeah.
7:45, dear.
Yeah.
You still want it?
It's still open at 7:45. It's like you try to get 6 o'clock, you better put your pre-order in when it opens up.
Yeah.
But we're able to control that, and we're able to control that now through a lot of trials and tribulations based off of how our kitchen staff is. We don't have to worry about the dining room. The dining room is what it is. You can only seat max capacity. And then how many kids I have back in to go. I'll sometimes Mother's Day I'm going to have like 8 or 9 kids working back there in to go. And this store now, because of how much we've increased, now with the volume of what I'm at, I did 9.2 million last year. And again, when I took over here in 2006, it was 2.8. So I did 9.2 million dollars last year. We served 435,000 people last year. You know, my goal is to get to 500,000. I'm going to serve 500,000 people in 1 year. 16% of that, 9.2 million, was, you know, so we were just shy of $2 million in to-go sales. Whereas pre-COVID, we were probably about 500,000. 500,000 would have been 500, 600,000. My goal is to get to 2 million. And there's some roadhouses out there that do $3 to $4 million in to-go that really just crank it through. I just got a third broil. I actually have now 3 broils that the company's helped me make shift. That broil, when it's open, it does nothing but to go. So now our to-go food doesn't even, the 2 guys that when you walk in here on Wednesday through Sunday, they're cooking just straight for the dining room. And then Wednesday through Sunday, I got a broil on the back line that cooks all the food. So when that to-go ticket comes in, we're making it. Sometimes we're ready way faster than what you're getting in the dining room because it's going straight to the to-go room, going out to your car ASAP. So I want to get to 20%. That's my goal. If I can get to 20% of my sales being to go, we'll be cooking. Yeah.
So what we're here now in 2025, and I kind of want to unpack just your commitment to Center Grove, and what I want you to unpack in that is, one, you know, you mentioned a few times, you know, you're 16-year-olds at the hostess, right? So I'm assuming that that, you know, you try to employ some local students and local people, right? Center Grove community people. Oh, yeah. But I know you and I have had some involvement just from a volunteer board, working together, supporting us in the basketball Hardwood Club. And I don't know if you remember, our initial meeting was here. We'd never really met. We'd see each other, right? And like, you know, like I'm like, why hasn't this happened? Right? Because all I hear about George Hill is that you say yes. Yeah. You don't say no. No. And so just unpack like your commitment to the community, what that looks like. Yeah. And because I think it's really important. I think it's really important because our young guys are men and our young men and women, especially in athletics. But we talk about this all the time on programming with whether you're in the arts and band and
choir,
like
robotics.
There's so much going on, and there's so much commitment from families to that community. Yeah. Tell us, and we only have like 2 listeners, but so like only 2 people listen to this, so it's not that big, but
it's the wives, right?
Yeah. Our wives stopped listening.
I don't know if my wife.
Yeah, our wives stopped
anymore.
listening. Like this is like episode like 20 or something. She's like, we're done. But no, I'd let's just give us some background on that. And you mentioned more, but and Coach Todd and but you know, from then to where we're at now, what's that look like?
It literally is. I think it's kind of a the word gets spread as you say, is someone's always saying, call George, ask. I have people who'll call and say, so and so told me to reach out to you, and I'll say, what is it that you need? What are you needing help from? I'm drawing a blank on his son was a running back for. He's probably gonna kill me if he listens, but his son was a running back for Center Grove. Went to Indiana State back in the day.
McCoy?
McCoy? Yeah, McCoy.
Titus McCoy?
Yep, Scott McCoy. I remember
a lot a lot of people forget Scott's name.
Yeah, I know. And if I see him now, he's going to go like, thanks.
No, and I hope he is listening. And he heard you
not,
forgetting and me saying that we forget his name.
We'll create a clip so you can pass that on.
Just that one.
Hey, let's clip it and we'll send it to him on the same text thread.
It was, Scott came up to me at Bantam League when my youngest was playing, the 1 year of football that he played. And he was out there, and we had just started our meals with Center Grove football, where we feed the seniors every Thursday. Seniors, like 50 seniors, we give them a steak, no different than we do baseball. Some of you know that. And then we were also doing some like sectional dinner, sectional lunches. And he just kind of came up to me. He's like, man, I just want to tell you something. He's like, I've gone to some of those Thursday night meals. And he goes, you see these boys just come in there. And he goes, I want to tell you is that everybody thinks that Center Grove has money. if you live in Center Grove, you go to Center Grove, your parents have money. And he goes, there's a lot of those young men that they never have eaten at your restaurant once. And he's like, because the families don't have the income, the finances. And he goes, that meal that they get is more than the game itself, something they look forward to that Thursday night meal. It gives me chills right now thinking about it. That kind of right there, along with other things, was a conversation I'll never forget, because it does. You do think about, like, you look at the stadium that they play in. You look at baseball fields. You hear about the choirs going to Grand Nationals, the bands that compete at World Nationals and all these things. They're all going there. But there's a lot of kids that just don't, have the luxury that some of the other ones do.
Yep.
And so that almost right there created of why we do things to take care of students and to take care of teachers. It helps teachers out a lot. My dad was a minister. He started his own church back in 1980. He didn't want to have a boss, even though the diocese has bosses, bishops and stuff. But he wanted to start his own church from the ground up. Go to a lot of churches. They've been around for a long time. They've been, most churches around here, there's very few that start and are successful. And I go, well, who's the boss of the church? He goes, well, the congregation is the boss, kind of the boss of the church. Minister just comes in and ministers leave, but the church is always there. He's like, I want to start my own. And he knew one of the things that he focused on was the youth program of the church. He wanted to have a fun, engaged youth program in church. And confirmation classes he used to have, he called them Pizza with the Padre. So, he goes, because his parents were hardcore Methodist ministers back in New England. He had to go to church every Sunday when he just wanted to watch the New York Football Giants on TV or listen to them on radio. But they said, no, you got to be at all the services that we got to be at. And he couldn't stand church. He literally despised it. And that's why he went into music and went to music school. But he found a calling to do the ministry anyways. But he wanted to make sure that when the kids come into church, they were excited to go to youth study or Bible class, and because of what it was about. It wasn't about memorizing things or doing everything else. It was like, how can we engage them and have fun?
They're not cheering for you, Wood.
And he just, by that, I remember going to Pizza with the Padre, and we'd sit, and he'd take us to La Rosa's Pizza. Eventually, he became partners with Papa John's, because he would order tons of pizzas, and they would come in, and he would just talk about life. He would just talk about what's going on at school, what happened at school, and he would associate what's going on at school with them to the ministry, to the Bible. So he didn't tell them something to figure out. He let them talk to him, and then he spewed it back. But they're sitting there eating pizza. Yeah. You couldn't beat that. And I go, why so much on the youth program? And he goes, who do you think's coming in 15, 20 years? He goes, who's coming in on their first date? Eventually these kids are going to hopefully stay in the community and have families. I want them to continue to go to St. Barnabas and come in. I want generations of families, not just the parents that I got that happen to stop by and like the service, and then the kids don't like it and they never come back.
Yeah.
And so that transcended to me is like your youth programs, your students in the community are your life force to continuing having having a foundation. And so really, when Scott said that to me, I realized that I could be getting families, future families coming in here and being patrons and being guests in my dad says, this is my church. He's like, in my place where they come in and they help and they give back. And again, the more the community supports us, the more I just throw back into it. Yeah. It's kind of like that balanced yin and yang type stuff. The more we're successful here, where I've got staff that work here. We got one of the lowest turnovers in the company. We've got a very low turnover. A lot of our high school kids. We got, I just sat with a kid named TJ Williams who's been with us now for 2 years. His brother started right after. Yeah, Kyle came in here right after. TJ signed up pretty quick. Just sat with me to go, I want to serve. Wants to be a server. So he's starting to train. You're going to see TJ on the floor here in about a month and a half, serving tables.
He's a good one to have.
It's a good one. I mean, I got a ton of them. I got Luke Barrett back there working tonight.
You got LB back there?
Barrett's back in to go. He wants to talk about service. So I've got a lot of things coming up to where it's like, both men and women come in here. They're also my future of working here. Yeah. And eventually, hopefully this is a place where they can make money to get through college. And Roadhouse is a foundation to make good money because servers make good money. They make real good money.
Yeah.
And that can help them get money in between, first semester, second semester, come in the summer. But I'm also getting that because they've also been a part of programs, whether it's band, football, robotics team. We're a sponsor with the robotics team. They just won, I think, Worlds or something like that in Texas a couple weeks ago. So, I don't say no to anybody because you never know what family you're helping out through that to where eventually they might be patrons in my restaurant, sit there and come in and eat dinner.
So just to detail that a little bit more, what does and I'm a sports guy, so that's where I'm going with this. So you can take it anywhere you want, but it's a fall season. Football is going on. You got all these things happening. What does giving look like to George Hill and you? Like, how much are you consumed by it? How much are you providing? Because you mentioned with McCoy about the dinners, right? And I know you were doing stuff for basketball, right? And so what are some of those things that you're doing or that you've done that you've enjoyed that you have really tried to capture those generations and those families?
Really, summer is really, I kind of like in the restaurant, it's not slow. But as far as give backs, the summers can be slow. I know when August kind of hits. Yeah. I go, here we go. We're involved not only with football, we're involved with Greenwood football, Center Grove. We're involved with, the band. We take care of the band when they have all their meals that kind of go on, which is something that's been kind of new. We're involved with choir.
You helped out the musical at Center Grove this past year. My son was one of the leads.
Yeah, it's once you kind of come on, and I literally have, I have a document that I keep every single year, and I've got my catering. I call it my catering document, and literally I can, if somebody calls me, I just basically go to the previous year, look up what we did the previous year, because sometimes what changes every year is the senior parents or the junior parents that kind of are in charge. It's like with baseball, we saw that Jenny Coy was, in charge of everything, and now Kelly Cherry is working on it, but they don't have to really worry about calling me because I go, last year I did this on this date, this on this date, this on this date. And sometimes the food changes depending on what the parents are trying to do. A lot of it was to really help the parents in a lot of ways of going, let me do the main entree, and then it's easier for you guys to come up with side items or desserts. If I do the main entree, that's meaning that a mom or dad doesn't have to come up and spend money, which is really money out of their pocket. Yeah. Because a lot of those things you're expected to provide the meal. Yep. Well, that means we got to go spend money. So it's really taken from where, really where swimming and football came into accords that everybody else just started coming in. I've still got people that call me, and sometimes I go like, what's taking you so long? They'll call and be like, yeah, we just know you do so much. Yeah. And I'm like, why aren't you calling? Yeah. I go, why aren't you calling to just ask?
Well, I do remember, when I stepped in for Billy at Harwood Club, like I'm like looking around like, all right, who do we have sponsors? And and I'm a community guy. I like to connect with people, and I was like, what about Texas Roadhouse? And I know Texas Roadhouse has done a lot for other programs, and there really wasn't there. And you were like, dude, what? You could have called me a lot sooner.
Hatfield went to Hatfield. I think he come in 2015.
Yeah,
2015. And I remember Boston was still in rec, and they had to do the rec evaluation. The high school kids come down and help with the rec evaluations. And I was there, and I didn't know Keith before that evaluation. I had heard of him, but Boston I think that's like 8. I think it was 8U, and I was in there, and I saw him. He was in there doing he had all the high school seniors in there, juniors helping out, and Boston and I were leaving, and all of a sudden I hear, Mr. Hill. And I turn around, and it's Keith. He's kind of like, he actually runs. He was running down the hallway to catch Boston and I walking out. And, I introduced Boston to him and said, this is Coach Hatfield. And he goes, he just kind of goes, so how do we talk about dinners for the boys? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I went to one of Moore's he happened to go to court a senior night where he went in and we were feeding. He's like, how do I get a part of that? I'm like, you just need to talk to me once the season comes up.
Yeah.
I was like, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And he just kind of really, and I was just like, I'm like, I'll help out. I go, plus my kid's in baseball. Of course I want to help out.
Yeah.
What can I do? So it's just like, just make the phone call and we'll start some sort of partnership. I think I look at things and evaluate. There's really never a dollar sign put on the back of the donation. I don't look and go, well, what are you going to do? A lot of people are like, well, we'll put your sponsorship on this, or what I'm like going, or we'll give you our tax ID, or we'll give you whatever so you can write it off. I go, the company doesn't even want any of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't care if you put our logo. I go, just tell the parents where it's from. Just tell the families where this is Roadhouse. Like, I'm not looking for a big advertisement somewhere, but some of them have, like, the baseball field, Keith puts a nice banner out there and they say things, they say our name at football games and stuff. I go, that's what I will say is, like, we're sponsored, we help, we do stuff, but it's really hearing from the community families of what we do, which is really where we go, like, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, I know you're getting foot traffic for all the efforts you're putting in. I mean, that's at the bottom line is what you want, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you're very visible in our community, so it's worked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely something that you look to give to people. My dad always called it stewardship.
Yep.
If you go to church and talk about stewardship, it's always looking, what can I do for others, without really looking for
getting that.
What are you giving me back? Like, that's called bartering. I'm not looking to barter with the community.
Yep.
I'm looking to go, how can I be a good steward in my community that I'll hopefully live in for a long period of time, and there'll be one day where I'm not here, and somebody takes over. But I'm also trying to instill things inside these four walls that whoever takes over from me one day when I decide to step away will continue that in the community. Those programs will be instilled there.
Yeah.
And that'll be a big part in the selection of who comes in here and takes over one day.
Yep.
Again, Chris Wood, Rob Thompson, George Hill here from Texas Roadhouse in 135. And in these last few minutes, Rob, I'm going to give you the opportunity here for this last kind of question idea here as we kind of transition into, it looks like, some grub time.
Oh, so you're putting him on the. See what he's doing here? He sees the food, and he just defers. Yeah. Hey, you go ahead and what are my instructions here? What I was looking at all the food.
Your instructions are: we have a few minutes left here. Get one more big question or curiosity you have out there for George.
Yeah. So I think one thing I would like to get into, or I like to add, like, what's we talked a lot about Texas Roadhouse and your commitment here in the community, but what makes you go every day? Like, you wake up, and family, is it, is there stuff out there that you just, we're getting old, and I think life looks different than what it used to be, and so I think just, what do you value?
Definitely, I think of, family is definitely, my boys and seeing them grow, seeing them come up and be good individuals involved with things in the community, be good partners to people. Boston getting ready to go to Butler. Braylon's involved in the marching band, indoor percussion. Yes, thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it. It's watching them grow and seeing what they're going to be. But I think it also is, this is my second family inside these four walls. This is, I really, the one, if I visit a table and somebody, goes, why is everybody happy here? I've looked at guests over the years and go, because I care more about them than I do you. I'll care more about my people inside the four walls than I do the guests walking through the door, because they're the ones that make this engine work. I believe my job is to really take care of my core management team. I've got 13 great managers. I've got 6 salary on my team. I've got 5 up-and-comers that want to be salary, that want to go run their own store or do other things in the company, like to provide for their families. And I got to make sure that they have a good work-life balance, and I got to make sure that what's going on in their lives matters to me too, knowing their families And then hopefully that trickles down to all the employees that are in here. I've got 150 employees that work in here.
That's awesome.
It's a lot, and some are at college, and some are coming back from college.
Yeah.
And so making sure that the two are blended well is big for me right now, is because it's what allows me to do what I do every single day is these people here inside these four walls. I mean, Roadhouse believes we're a people company that serves steaks.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
We have, Kent's like, we're just, we focus on our people, and we know that our byproduct is to sell you food, but it's our people that make everything go.
Yeah, and I'll make this comment and just add to that. And I don't know how you manage or what you do inside these four walls, but I've seen you in our community, and I think you're a man of action and not a man of word in terms of. And so when you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
And when you support, you support. And so I greatly appreciate you. You've supplied a lot of food for my boys, but then also just a lot of the groups and the boys that we're trying to mentor and be part of. So definitely excited that you came on with us. But
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You are one dude that needs to be recognized in this community.
Thanks.
Because you're a yes guy.
Yeah. Just give me a call. If you ever tried before, give me a buzz.
And I'll second that as a teacher and someone in this community who's been involved in coaching for a number of years. What you have provided to so many people, be it the opportunity to have a different special meal for some of those boys and girls out there, to helping to feed 200 people that are involved in some activity at one certain time, and just trying to help organize that. I know that many of people appreciate what you bring to this community, and I think the community looks forward to that opportunity to help come back here and enjoy what they've experienced there, but even more and more and more down the road.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate Roadhouse. We appreciate our community. We're very lucky that this, I've been at other stores through Bloomington. I've visited other stores, and I tell you what, it was at the moment, I probably was like going, this is not going to grow. And now I sit here and I see nothing but growth coming in this community. I see nothing but rooftops going up. And it really is amazing how much it is its own little community being in Center Grove. It really is its own thing. And to see like the generations of people that just continue to stay here and build, that's what I want this store to be, is a part of that growth. Continues to be here and be kind of a staple for people to know, like, hey, when we're thinking about where we want to go eat tonight and you're having those arguments at the end of the day, go, let's just go to Roadhouse.
Yep.
We get taken care of there. So.
Well, and a similarity, you said it earlier, Texas Roadhouse is a mom and pop with a big box brand, I think that's exactly what Center Grove is. It's growing. A lot of things are happening and changing, but at the end of the day, it's still community, and it's pretty tight-knit.
It is.
And that is why we're doing this, is to it's not always pretty.
Right.
It's not always great. Yeah. But, man, there's some amazing people and amazing things that are happening here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to take a line from Rob, who usually gets to say this, and I'm going to take advantage of it, hopefully I steal your thunder for once. But one of our missions for this podcast is to tell the stories of the people in Center Grove who make Center Grove what it is.
Yeah.
And I think we're both very honored to have the opportunity to come in here and tell your story and what you have done for this community, and obviously what the community has done for you both personally and professionally.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. It's been awesome.
Thank you again.
Absolutely.
George Hill, managing partner here at Texas Roadhouse. And Rob, I'll give you one more quick little blurb here.
Let me take the thunder from now on. That was like a little rainstorm drizzle, dude. Like, man,
I'm like a cold funnel cloud, and you're like the real funnel cloud.
Yeah, you're just a black cloud hanging around now. We don't even have any storms, but man. And I was thinking when you were talking to, like, there are a few years you would provide something for somebody or some team. I didn't know who George Hill was. And that should tell you more about who you are than anything, is that you're not standing there like, hey, everybody, I'm here. Like, you don't want that. You're doing your thing, and that's where your heart is. So, man, you're the dude.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Again, George Hill here on the Center Grove Trojan Beat, and our thanks to our sponsor for this broadcast here tonight from Texas Roadhouse, and that would be Gandalf Bats. We had on a few weeks ago. Check out that podcast. But again, thank you to George Hill for having us here tonight and the opportunity to hear his story and check out some of his food here. Take care and listen to this here soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.